reporting live from the AUSI Exponential in San Diego. It's day 2 and we are back with another session of NestGen Xpress Season 3. Today I'm joined by Christopher Clark, founder and CEO of RocketDNA, a leading drone automation and AI company, to talk about everything that they've been brewing up in Australia and South Africa. So how it's going, Chris?
Nice. And thanks, Prasadi. Thanks very much for having me. Yeah, going very well.
So why don't we start off with a quick introduction of you and RocketDNA for all the folks that are tuning in?
Yeah, thanks, Prasadi. Well, RocketDNA is a global leader and an ASX-listed drone services business. We really are focused on doing drone integration and really primarily on drone-in-the-box solutions for customers within the mining and industrial industries.
All right. So RocketDNA did hit a very significant milestone last year by being one of the first drone operators in both Australia and South Africa to receive BVLOS approval with the DJI Dock. So what does that mean for the industry? What kind of operations are permitted?
Yeah, thanks, Vaishali. Yeah, it's a very interesting one for us and an achievement we're very proud of. RocketDNA is an eclectic mix of aviators, mining engineers, surveyors, tech geeks, software engineers, and really kind of bringing all these skills together to achieve these regulator or BVLOS approvals has really been something pretty amazing. It began with a 2-year process, which was really about identifying the right kind of equipment, the right operating software like FlightBase, and being able to prove to the regulator that these things can be operated very safely, and not only just on a one-to-one basis, but at scale. So taking the units from just a single remote operator flying only a single drone out of a box to a multi-drone environment from a single operator.
That sounds great. So it was a 2-year-long process. So how long does usually a typical approval take, say, for example, for CASA?
Yeah, I think BVLOS is always going to be one of those sort of unknowns. It is, while sort of traditional drone approvals are pretty much sort of copy and paste, because sort of drones have been in play for over about 15 years now.
Right.
BVLOS still seems to be that area which is very specific to the end user and the kind of the applications and the approvals that you're seeking. So I think a lot of people think that you can just sort of, as before, go get a BVLOS waiver by just sort of doing a copy paste of the next person's operations, and that's really not the case. So I think probably my advice really would be to anyone who's looking to get into the space is you've got to be 100% engaged and really intentful for what you're looking to achieve within your specific applications, because taking someone else's approval or waivers and trying to really duplicate that in your environment, it may even be overkill for what you need. So at RocketDNA, we're really about being fit for purpose. We wanted to design a solution and offering that could scale, and that we would be able to offer remote outsource services and really allow the customer to focus on what they do best, which in the case of mining is really about taking rocks out of the ground.
Right. I think the air risk, ground risk, they're all going to be very different based on the operating environment or the geography. So yes, you're right. Like you cannot just simply copy paste. So in both South Africa and Australia, respectively, so what are the different applications or use cases that you're seeing adoption for drone-in-a-box systems?
Yeah, I think this is the most exciting part and where everyone gets very inspired. So traditionally what you're seeing out in Australia is the idea of really automating these very mundane, dirty, or even dangerous tasks. So typically for our mining customers, it's about removing people from these very active pits, removing them from harm and danger. And that's a very similar sort of case what we're seeing in South Africa as well, where we're automating effectively the security patrolman.
Right.
That instead of putting people out doing this night work, patrolling perimeters, you're now automating that using a drone. So you're really focusing or using the drone in box to tackle and target very specific workflows or use cases and automating that from end to end. And a lot of the times that's not just physically replacing a person with a drone. I think a lot of people, conceptually understand that very well. But really what's important is about how you integrate the software layer into that. So a lot of obviously what FlightBase does is really incorporating the safety elements, which you're seeing at a remote operations level. But then on the customer's end, how do you identify, detect, report, and even create trend analysis from that? So it's all about empowering people to make better decisions while keeping people safe.
Right. I think one great thing that Drone in a Box system does is replace all the dull, dirty, and dangerous work that humans are having to do today. You mentioned security. So one of your key offerings is the export for security and surveillance. So what kind of security operations are you seeing today? Like, is it more of on-demand, alarm-based response, or more of scheduled patrols?
Yeah, it's a very interesting one. So I think a lot of people and if you sort of take the DJI Dock as an example, I think a lot of people sort of under the impression that you can just sort of take the DJI Dock off the shelf and sort of plug and play and go, which is definitely not the case as per like sort of the typical DJI drones. So our XBot solution was all about integrating this into a single ready to deploy solution with a MindSkid and all the communications, video, weather station, Starlink connectivity. Really was in sort of one single sort of bundle that could be easily deployed to site. And typically what we're seeing is once you get these units that are able, sort of being able to be deployed to site, customers are predominantly using this, but I would say about 80% of the time for very scheduled, predictable kind of applications. And the other 20% is for more the on-demand, the triggering environment.
Yeah.
So you're already finding that the current use business case is built around what the customer knows, but where we see the exciting part is the unknown, right? So what is with the extra spare capacity that the drone on a dock or the drone in the box concept really brings to these industrial customers is, while you can reduce the number of people on site or from harmful areas, you can go a lot further. And as a typical example, one of the things we're doing in the mining environment, is let's say in the everyday, is our unit will be sort of deploying, typically doing survey stockpiles, volumetrics during the day, so a lot of survey work, and then it's sort of its spare time is doing inspection work, but not just producing and flying videos. We've even been able to build an AI computer vision model that's able to detect water leaks along a pipeline. So this really removes people from being able to drive 15, 20 kilometers along these pipelines or even conveyors looking for water leaks or sort of burning idlers. So really it's really only limited by your imagination for what can be achieved.
I think that's another interesting bit of Drone in a Box systems, the multiple use cases. You just deploy one and then you use it for different kind of use cases, be it security, inspections, mapping, all at once, without really having to send pilots every time on the field. So we'll close off this session with one question, Chris, that is, where do you see the industry heading as one of the leading drone solution providers? How do you anticipate more automation and AI coming along in the near future, or do you think it's going to be a few years until that kicks off?
Yeah, that's a very interesting one, Bashadi. I see there's a place for both the legacy sort of drone operations as well as the automated drone in a box solutions. I think they're going to both coexist. Right. In that you're typically going to find very niche or project-related work still being done by the typical drone operations. But once you've sort of done that task over and over and over again, I think the need to automate that and then rather redeploy those people to do more complex sort of tasks is where the future is going to go. And beyond that, sort of speaking into that and even looking at the size of which these docks are getting, right? We sort of joke, looking at the DJI Dock as an example, it looked like a photocopier printer, and right. And now it looks like a little laser desktop printer. And like in any other kind of working environments, it's you have hundreds of these things, within your office, and we're seeing that's exactly where the market's going to go. Is as customers get sort of very comfortable with only having one unit, they're going to go 2, 3, 5, 10, 20. And I think the acceptance of these systems is going to be very quick and very easy. And I think really it's all going to be down to the systems of that what Flightbase is building is how are we going to start handling hundreds of these units up in the air, all operating autonomously, because you can't have one operator doing one drone anymore.
Yes. One too many. That's where your waiver comes in.
That's it.
Yes. I think that's great, Chris. It was great chatting with you today. Thank you all for tuning in for an interesting episode of NestGen Xpress Season 3. We'll see you for the next one.